A lot of expectations today out of the England versus Netherlands game. Some people were hoping Netherlands would give a fight for that coveted number fourth spot in the semifinals. England also had some to play for with the Champions Trophy qualification still on the line. Rakim Ul Haq here with me as always the morning after. Two people less than yesterday. First thing first, a little weird if you think about it. No one probably thought at the start of the World Cup that you'd be talking about Netherlands going for semis and England trying to fight for a Champions Trophy spot.
I think England and this, bizarre losing streak that they got themselves into, I don't think anyone really predicted it. And I
Yeah,
know I've tried to come up with the whole reasoning being that they didn't focus on ODI cricket, they didn't play ODI cricket as intensely, but it still doesn't really make sense that they would play what 8 games and win 2 out of them.
yeah,
So
yeah, and
it was very
absolutely,
un-England like.
yeah,
Today we saw a glimpse of what England could have possibly done throughout the tournament and
a
what we expected
glimpse,
them to do.
a glimpse. I'm not sure about the glimpse. Only three guys got runs. I mean, technically in an ODI, if you have three guys get runs, that's enough. Um, But if you think about it, they were 125 for one, 120, 133 for one. So let's talk about it. The start that England had today. They had a very aggressive start with David Malan and Johnny Bairstow. I think when Johnny went at the end of seventh over, um, 48
48 for one.
48 for one. Yeah. Yeah. So thoughts, is that the clear message that they had today? Even David Molan was going at it. He's known to take a little bit of time. Do you think that's the clear plan that they came out with, or they were just reacting to the situation a little?
I mean, you have batting till number 9 and basically have Moeen Ali batting at number 7. So it would make sense that they would take the more aggressive route. This is the question of why they waited so long. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure the message was clear that take the attack to this Dutch bowling attack
Yeah.
very, very quick as soon as
Yeah.
you can. Make the new ball as possibly ineffective as possible. Don't get bogged down.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Johnny Bairstow has just had a terrible tournament. I mean, I don't have words to
Yeah.
describe it. He's
Yeah.
still averaging, what, 19.5, I think, throughout this tournament. And he's been an auto choice. He's averaging 19.5. Joe Root is averaging 27. These two have
Low
played every
numbers.
single
No,
game in the
yeah.
top three.
Yeah. Low numbers.
It's very
100%.
disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, David Malan 87, Ben Stokes 108. Before we talk about Ben Stokes 108, not sure if you saw the review that they had of Aryan Dutt when he was probably 70-ish. Big Murray Erasmus said it was bat and gloves. Thoughts?
I mean, he could have taken a few more looks from
Replays.
different
Yeah.
angles, but yeah, it was always going to be one of those 50-50 calls that on other occasions stir more controversy than they did today. That's
Yeah.
all I'll say.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
a bigger match,
Scotty
in a
Edwards
more
was not pleased. He was he
no, no,
was
no.
he was pretty pissed off about that. I think naked eye plus reviews, I thought it was out. Game changes a lot. Stokes out at that point.
It does because not a lot of batters stepped up today.
Yeah.
As you said, it was basically a 3-man show, and Stokes was leading those 3 men in
Yeah.
a sense that he's the one who got the century.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been very, very different. England, I think at that point would have been
260, 245 or 248, something like that.
for 7,
7.
which
Yeah.
means there's a good chance they don't even get to play out their full
Fifth.
quota of 50 overs.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
when they do, they're too cautious and they just get something like 300, barely scrape their way to
Brave.
300,
Yeah.
which could have given Netherlands some momentum going into their innings. But
Yeah.
again, all that is just could have been, should have been kind of
Hindsight,
discussion.
hindsight.
Hindsight, and none of that happened, more importantly. And
Yeah.
the way Netherlands got defeated, it shows that this is the English side we were expecting to
Expecting.
turn up from day
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So David Milan, pretty good World Cup for him, well, we could say. He's gotten runs, missed out a deserving 100 today, you could say. Uh, how have you seen him throughout the course of the tournament and especially today?
Important to remember that Dawid Malan is the one who got runs in two of England's wins, that 140 against Bangladesh and
Bangladesh.
87 today.
Yeah.
So on both occasions, he's maintained a very good strike rate as well. So all in all,
Hmm.
he's done pretty well. He's always, that's the thing about Dawid Malan. I think he made his ODI debut much after he made his T20 and
T20.
Test debut, and he became a regular ODI feature long after he became a regular T20I feature,
Right.
while being in the top five, top four rankings of T20Is. But that didn't really make sense to me because he always looked like ODIs were his format.
Yeah.
ODIs were the
Yeah.
format which completely perfectly naturally suited him. And we're seeing that right now. Unfortunately, it doesn't help that in this tournament he hasn't had any real support from his opening partner.
Yeah.
And you expect Johnny Bears to
Or from
take the
Joe
lead
Root.
of the two, and
Yeah.
or from Joe Root for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but it shows how important the whole Bairstow Roy partnership was in
Yeah.
2019, or the trio of Bairstow Roy and Alex Hales
Alex Hales. Yeah.
were before that, before the
Yeah.
whole Hales debacle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think one thing for Milan, like you said, always looked proper technique player. Um, he's one of those picture perfect textbook kind of batters that you get. He's obviously expanded his range of shots and his ability to access different areas of the ground in recent times. Um, but because he was someone who always took a little bit of time initially to get started, he was actually the number one ODI T20I batter for a while in international cricket. But more so than that, like you mentioned, his game always seemed to fit ODI cricket. So it was kind of weird that he never got picked for ODI cricket until much later than he'd already played tests and T20Is. So I think he's found his place as an opener now. They tried him at number 3 for a bit too. Um, do you see in England's revamp post this World Cup? They've talked about this revamp thing quite a bit. Is he a key part of that revamp, or are they thinking, no, is he going to play another World Cup in 4 years? Where's that thinking, do you think?
Want him to stick around, but the fact is he is also 36 right now, and
Yeah,
36 is not exactly a young age. He's fit. I know people love to talk about the whole, age is just a number narrative, but it's not.
yeah,
Age isn't just a number. Realistically, as you said, he is very unlikely to feature in that World Cup in South Africa. Even if England make it to the Champions Trophy, there is no guarantee that he's going to have his form
form.
all the way
Yeah,
until
yeah,
2025.
yeah,
But as of now, I think England's best mode of action is to find two openers to try and open with Dawid Malan,
yeah,
and they can try rotating the three or rotating the two of them while the experienced Dawid Malan holds one end up.
yeah.
That might be a good approach because you don't at this point you don't want to drop one of the few players you have who
Who
are
are
consistently
performing.
scoring
Yeah,
runs.
yeah. And I think one of the bigger parts that also play into it is England's definitely announced a new contract system. David Malan's part of the 2 year contracts and whatnot. So it's not as easy to get away with guys who have multi-year contracts. This is some of the things that, it's been done for the first time in cricket. It's not done regularly. So
It just to add to that, I think
yeah,
that allows England this leeway if they make it to the Champions Trophy. It's a good segue for them to say that okay, uh, Dawid, you serve us until the
the
Champions
tension.
Trophy, and then we'll see what happens
Yeah,
after that.
yeah,
Till the
yeah.
Champions Trophy, we're still considering you as our first choice opener.
Yeah, because it's still only 15 months away, in all things considered. People are talking about it being 2 years away. It's actually not.
No, it's 15 months.
It's only 15 months away. So, um, Ben Stokes finally made an ODI World Cup 100 for him. He's been
It's crazy that
close.
he didn't actually get
Yeah.
100 in 2019.
Yeah.
That was
Because,
his World Cup.
yeah, he's been so close so many times, right? He's gotten
Right.
out in the 80s, the high 80s, a few matches. I think 90s in one game too. But is this what England were hoping for when they picked him for the World Cup? For him to come good like this, maybe a little more than he did.
Course, a little more than he did, but it's also important to remember that he only was fit enough to play 5 matches so far. He hasn't been available for all
For
eight
as
matches,
much as,
which
yeah.
makes a huge difference. Across those 5 matches, he's had 150 plus score and one, technically 250 plus scores, one of which he converted to a century.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. All things considered,
yeah,
that's pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And that's the type of ODI cricket Ben Stokes has been playing. Outside of 2019 World Cup, Ben Stokes has never been this really consistent, really reliable
He
white
gives
ball
you
cricketer.
two innings out of five. Like usually, that's it. What it is. I think
I
the
mean,
only
it's
one.
crazy if you just think about it. His average when he retired, quote unquote, retired in 2022, it was 25 versus his average right now, as of this moment, is 40.7.
So that is crazy. Especially because if you think about it, I think the India game is one where they really would have liked some contribution from Stokes. That is probably the only one they would have really wanted something out of all the 5 games that he's played. But thoughts about the knock today? Exceptional. I think he got a chance early on and then had that contention as DRS, but looked to be hitting the ball as best as ever.
I mean, similar to Glenn Maxwell,
Gang
Ben
Max,
Stokes isn't the
yeah,
type of player who doesn't really let these chances or whatever get to him. He
yeah.
takes it very positively. He's like, okay, then you've dropped my catch. Today is my
That
day. No
my
one's going to
day.
be able to
Yeah,
stop me
yeah,
today. And
yeah,
that's the type of player he is. That's the type of bravado he carries with him. And on his day, he is unstoppable. On his day, the best part about Ben Stokes is he performs to win the match.
yeah, yeah,
And that's not demeaning other players, but a lot of players with them, they will have those heroic innings here and there. We've seen this with the best of the best. I'm talking about, 90s Sachin Tendulkar. I'm talking about 2010s AB de Villiers, when
yeah,
they would have the best of the best, most phenomenal performances. And then you look at the match result and you see it didn't go in their team's favor.
no,
That is just not the brand of cricket Ben Stokes represents.
yeah,
He won't be as consistent as them, but
yeah.
when he performs, nine
He
out of
he
10 days,
brings the
he
win.
ensures that
Yeah.
England go over the line.
End of the day, that's all it's about, right? If you're playing and you want to be a big match player and you want to be a big performer that everyone remembers, end of the day, that's what you want to get out of it. Last thing before we move into Netherlands bowling and batting, Chris Wilkes, the perfect cricketer, 50 today. Uh, not sh- not sure he gets the respect he deserves. I think, like in all formats of the game, he's always been in and out of England setups. Finally, a little consistent, but super support for Stokes today. Similar to what Cummins did yesterday, but at a much higher strike rate, obviously.
Chris Wokes, even if we speak about, England's 2019 victory or the whole 2015 resurgence, he was one of the few players, not one of the few, but at least half the players that they left for Morgan to
Bournemouth.
work with. He was
Yeah,
one of them.
yeah,
And since then, he's been a constant contributor for them with
yeah,
both bat and ball. He
yeah,
did it in 2019, and he is probably the most, probably the word is underrated,
yeah,
or a genuine unsung hero of that 2019 World Cup, where he at one point was even batting up at number 7. It
yeah,
doesn't matter how well you perform at that point, but for someone like Moeen Ali to lose his form and then you put your hand up, you bat at number 7, you give your captain that reassurance that okay, no, I am
I can
here.
hear. Yeah,
You
yeah,
guys, the top 6, you guys are amazing. You guys do your thing. I am here at number 7. I,
yeah,
I won't be successful most days, but you can trust me to hold
yeah,
a bat at number 7.
yeah,
That's what he did back then. And
yeah,
as you said, definitely he doesn't get the respect he deserves it from time to time. He's got a few good scores in Test cricket as well,
Yeah,
even though he doesn't
yeah,
regularly
yeah,
feature there. So
yeah,
as this, proper bowling all-rounder, he's been phenomenal. And on days like this, it really shows. You
yeah.
really get to see the full performance. I don't know, the full picture
Picture
of
of Chris
what
Wilkes.
Chris Wilkes is, as you said,
Yeah,
the near perfect cricketer.
yeah. No,
In a weird way, I don't want to
yeah,
get in too much into this comparison, but in a weird way, I feel like Chris Wokes is what a lot of fans wanted David Willey to be,
yeah,
and Willey
yeah.
just fell a little short.
Especially
Just fell a
someone who
little short.
opens in domestic cricket, you expect a lot more out of the bat, right? So I think David Willie's definitely gonna be the first one to accept that he's fallen a little short of his promise. Netherlands bowling, 133 for one at the 20th over. From there, they had England at 192 for six. So they took 5 wickets for about 60 odd runs. Um, Bastilleida, 14 wickets at the World Cup, hasn't scored many runs, but following in his dad's footsteps and going over those 14 wicket hauls at a World Cup.
I don't know. It's been very impressive. He doesn't exactly, as you said, he does come in sort of as a
Even though
batting
Maxwell hit
all-rounder.
him for 115 or whatever.
No, even then, like all things considered, an economy of 7.11, which shows that outside of today, because he went for runs today and
Yeah,
that whole Maxwell carnage the other
yeah.
day against Netherlands, aside from those two games, he's been
He's been
probably been pretty decent.
yeah,
And 14 wickets across 7 matches is really good. He missed out on one of those games. I think he had an injury concern here or
yeah,
there,
yeah.
with an average of 28.9. That's all that is very good for someone playing their first World Cup, someone who didn't exactly come in with a lot of expectations. It is disappointing that outside of that one half century, which I think he got against Pakistan,
Yeah,
he didn't exactly perform with the bat. But
yeah.
again, as an all-rounder, you want to make it count one way or the other,
One the
and he
other.
has made it count.
Yeah.
Today was his impact was massive, getting those wickets in the middle. But aside from that, of course, there was Mikerin. Mikerin's been good all throughout. Ayan that he's also been good. These Dutch bowlers, they're really good at getting wickets in the middle, regardless of how their first spell
First,
goes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that is a very impressive trait. We're
yeah.
not seeing that with a lot of bowlers. A lot of bowlers get mentally completely defeated if their first spell doesn't go well, which again, which is disappointing because it's a 10 over spell, god damn it. You can't
Right,
be losing
right.
hope after
You have
one or two bad
you have
overs.
60 legitimate deliveries to make an impact, and for them to watch Royal van der Marwe get tonked by Ben Stokes, 22 runs of his 3 overs or something, it would have been very easy for someone younger to think, oh, if Royal can't do it, there's no chance I can do it. But that wasn't the case because they came back in a much better way. Like you said, Mikerin, Fenbeek, Aryan Dutt, um, all bowled exceptionally well in that middle stage. Where do you think it went wrong for them in the death overs? 120 runs in the last 10.
It doesn't help that, Ben Stokes played till the very last over.
Yeah,
When that happens, you know that it's guaranteed that you're going to go for quite a few. That's what happened. I don't think Netherlands really had a good plan for their death bowling
yeah,
coming into
yeah,
this tournament.
yeah,
Because even if we look at the qualifiers and their success, a lot of it came on the back of very good death batting, but
yeah.
not good
Not the
death bowling.
yeah.
And that's been a concern for them. A lot of their bowlers, they really rely on that hit the deck kind of length, or some of them are looking to go full get whatever swing they can get off the pitch or some seam movement. Whenever that happens, you're not focusing as much on nailing the Yorkers on the slower deliveries, which is fine because then you're able to create impact throughout 35, 40 overs. But then you need a plan for the last 10 overs. You need a Yorker specialist, not just some guy who's gonna come in from sometimes from over the wicket, sometimes from round the wicket, try to nail the Yorkers and end up bowling full tosses. That's just not going to fly. Not
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
have batters
Not
like
right.
Stokes who are well set.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's 100%. I think one of the things we talked about yesterday was bowling away from the range. That didn't happen to Maxwell. Similarly, I didn't think they bowled away from the range of Stokes or Wokes for that part. So that's where they went wrong. One of the things you talked about was their success was death batting at the qualifiers. Another success they had was runs at the top of the order. Vikramjit Singh and Max O'Dowd were averaging 42 as a partnership coming into the World Cup. They weren't as successful. Wesley Barisi's got a few games, but once again, Max O'Dowd and Ackerman out early.
Before, just sorry, sir,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna stop you there because there's one question I want to ask you. I think I completely slipped my mind.
yeah,
Before we get into the Dutch batting, we spoke about this, this resurgence that England would possibly want to go through after this
yeah,
World Cup, the
yeah,
big chop and change.
yeah.
Do you consider this just a bad tournament for Joss Butler, or do you
Oh yeah,
consider
I forgot.
pulling the plug?
Yeah, yeah. I think Butler's been quite vocal about his own struggles and the way they kind of pulled the plug on Butler, the test player. I think Butler, the ODI player, is probably done at this World Cup. It's unfortunate. He's had a great white ball career, probably, if not the best, one of the best white ball players out of England. Um, but I think from here on, they're gonna probably look at Jamie Smith and Phil Salt, and you're thinking next 4 years. I think, like you said, maybe Champions Trophy is the swan song for a lot of these guys. It might be the case. But yeah, I mean, I didn't expect him to struggle this much for especially for someone who's played so much IPL and everything. What are your thoughts?
It's difficult when, your two wicket keepers, both of whom carry quite a bit of experience, are suddenly so atrociously out of form because
Yeah,
they're 33 and 34. They're not exactly 43 and 44, right?
40.
It's
Yeah,
not like they're that old that they couldn't have a few more years of cricket left in them. So that would be disappointing that they don't want to be in a position where they replace them with two fairly new
can
cricket.
you?
Philip Salt
Yeah,
has had quite a few international matches already, but
yeah, but it's still,
even then,
yeah,
it doesn't compare to Johnny Bairstow and Joss Butler, right? So to lose two of your wicket keepers
at
all
the
of a
same
sudden,
time. Yeah,
that would be tough. So I think they will still persist with Butler. They will still say, okay, no, this was just one bad tournament. He's 33, he can still recover to the point where he can literally still win us the Champions Trophy single-handedly
yeah.
a couple
Given
of
he's
years
won
later.
the T20 World Cup last year, so yeah,
Absolutely.
very much so.
Maybe they'll look for a new captain, but I think they'll still have to somehow trust Joss Butler,
Josh
the
Butler, the
wicketkeeper,
wicket
batter.
keeper. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That might be the case. And I think Butler before captain was always a much better player, probably. If you think about record wise.
He wasn't exactly a bad captain per se whenever he had to take over from Morgan here and there
Yeah,
before, the full-time responsibility came around.
yeah.
But still, it just goes to show how well Morgan handled everything.
Everything. Yeah,
And
yeah.
he didn't let a lot of things show. There was a lot going on in the background. He just
Back.
didn't let it show,
No, yeah,
which commands respect.
yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. Thoughts on Baresi, O'Dowd, Ackerman.
Ackerman and O'Dowd have disappointed a
I
lot of
think,
Dutch
yeah,
fans, unfortunately.
Ackerman, especially because of county experience. Yeah,
That's the problem. Like, unfortunately, due to the difference in conditions, we want county experience to translate well. It
yeah,
would have maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. But problem is when you're facing batters and bowlers, particularly bowlers in this instant, and even captains who have played a lot of years of
years.
cricket here in India,
Yeah,
thanks to the IPL, thanks to a lot of international cricket, they've had so much experience with which
yeah.
these Dutchmen unfortunately haven't had, which makes however many wins they have in this World Cup and however many
Exceptional.
performances they've held very, very impressive. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, this is too big a bridge, and this is them starting from -5 rather than starting from zero,
0.
which gets them into a very unfair position. I don't want to make
Yeah,
excuses. Of course,
yeah,
Ackerman should have applied himself better, regardless of the conditions, regardless of how familiar he was, given the county experience he's bringing in. But having said all that, it doesn't help when you're coming against bowlers who have
yeah,
had so much more experience here in India.
yeah.
And overall, Baresi looked. pretty decent. He was trying to hold
Oh,
one end up
he
because
was
they
really
lost
just trying to get
wickets.
over the swing and stuff, like just trying to play himself in. He did start getting on a little, but then just got out at the wrong time.
And this Pune pitch, it has something for everyone, literally
Everyone, yeah,
everyone.
yeah, and especially under lights, I feel like both aspects of the game come into play a lot more when you're batting second because Wokes and Willie were literally swinging it across the batter. Um, Engelbrecht, ex under 19 South African, looked good again today. Tejan Nidamanuru, ex Auckland first class cricketer, he's also looked good. Scott Edwards got about 38. So their middle order actually put on some runs, but no one really went on to put up that big score, which would be a shame for them because everyone
I'm
got
a little
starts.
disappointed in Teja because Teja could have actually extended both his and the Dutch innings, the
Yeah,
Dutch
because he
team
was
innings,
just
that is,
giving the number 10 and
giving
11.
strike to the
Yeah, I don't
tailenders.
know.
I was very
Yeah,
surprised to see
yeah,
that. He should have at least played for his own half century. Forget
yeah,
everything else. Felt
yeah.
like he was playing for the red inker, but again,
Yeah.
you can get that half century and then play for the red ink.
Just
That's
thought,
worth more.
get the average up in ODI cricket a little. Doesn't hurt. Put it next to the name, red ink. Average up with the not outs. Scott Edwards has looked really good at the World Cup this year.
He has. Few games here and there where he could have
Yeah,
done better, but on his back, Netherlands have gotten a couple of victories, and I think they'll remember that.
yeah, I think
That's the best thing they can take away. That's the best thing he can take away. That he has led from the front to the point where he's the one who got them those two wins, basically, both as a captain and as a batter and as a wicketkeeper, of course. So
yeah.
that's always amazing.
And like we said, Bas de Leda, not many runs, unfortunately. Same with Logan Van Beek, two of the guys who played crazy knocks to actually get them here in the first place. Um, One thing I actually read on Twitter was Wesley Baresi came on after the game and he was talking about basically I don't think none of Netherlands' games until today and the next one are actually live streamed in Netherlands, and I think a lot of people were abusing them on Twitter for the way their batting innings panned out. And Wesley Baresi basically came on Twitter and he said, obviously we were um, absolutely below par today, but this is professional sport. We don't play as much against these big teams, so sometimes there will be rude awakenings and tough learnings like this that we have to get through and understand ourselves as players. So we appreciate if you can be a little understanding of that, and I think that's as honest as it can be from a player.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, and he doesn't even owe them a
reply.
response.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
I
Are they
No,
what?
I think the problem is even Logan Van Beek said in a interview, he was like, "Oh, I was watching a morning show and these guys were laughing about Netherlands cricket. They were like, "Oh, cricket's like a 9 to 5. You just go and play." I'm like, "Bro, I would take that 9 to 5 any day. What the hell are you talking about?" So many people would literally die to be there on that spot that they are in, right? So to be doing that as a national media or agent or whatever it is absolutely wrong. But it's good to see him being honest, and there were a lot of support from fans and stuff. And even someone said, I flew all the way to India. I'm already proud of what you guys have achieved, and I don't ask for anything more other than you guys continue to fight.
You have full member nations like South Africa and Sri Lanka with so much rich history of cricket and so many facilities and all that, and
Yeah,
they're getting bundled out for less than 100.
100. Yeah,
And you are complaining about Netherlands getting 179 on a bad day. This is a bad day
bad
for them.
day.
This is not even
Yeah,
an average
yeah.
day for them.
No,
This
no.
is a bad day for them. On a good day, they defeat South Africa. On a good day, they defeat Bangladesh. On a good day, put up a very
We
strong
good
fight against
against
Sri
Sri
Lanka.
Lanka. Yeah, yeah.
That's what they are. I don't know what they're
Bro.
talking about at this point.
Yeah,
Ridiculous, honestly.
yeah. On a different day, they would have 6 points right now if that Sri Lanka game went their way. They were only a wicket away, honestly. If you think about it that way. Just the final thoughts on England's bowling. Adil Rashid and the spin twins, Big Mo and Rashid in the wickets. Rashid's been good at the World Cup. Mo didn't get any wickets until today. Um, where do they slot in for you in England's post World Cup resurgence?
difficult, particularly for Mo. It's difficult because time and again he has, I don't want to
They've
be too
always
harsh,
talked
but
about his ceiling being high, but he's never reached the
he's never
ceiling.
reached it, at least not in
Yeah,
ODI cricket. If anything, we speak about how he's not had as good of a batting time in Test cricket, but in Test cricket he's been fine. He's still been
yeah.
England's best spinner, at least best off
Off
spinner
spinner.
since Graham Swan.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big achievement, all things
yeah,
considered. In ODI
yeah,
cricket, unfortunately, it's not just that he has underperformed, he has underperformed the most in tournaments like the World Cup, in
yeah.
tournaments like the Champions Trophy. That's the
Hmm.
biggest problem. He's
Yeah.
found his way in T20 cricket. He's done well enough in T20 cricket
To
to say
stay
that no, he
relevant.
deserves
Yeah,
to be in those, World T20 winning squads, in the IPL winning squads and everything. He has
yeah,
done well. He's done well
yeah,
in those formats, but in that format,
yeah,
no doubt. Yeah.
yeah,
But in ODIs, he has definitely 100% underachieved. That doesn't take anything away from today's performance. He was very good today. The batters were looking to attack them. These batters aren't intimidated by spin anymore. They
no,
were looking
no,
to take both Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali on.
yeah.
And credit to the two spin
They
twins.
swept very well and played down
Very
the
well.
ground very well. Yeah,
Credit to the spin twins. They kept trying new things. They weren't afraid to be hit for boundaries here and there. They knew that the Pacers have done their job. The
yeah,
Pacers have done the hard work already.
yeah.
All you have to do is get a couple of wickets here and there, and
And it's
that's it.
gonna be
The
done.
game is done.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And these
100%.
two, they're very good and at sealing off the game in these sort of
Yes,
scenarios,
it's
and they
yeah.
did
And
exactly that.
that's what you
What
need from your senior pros. Yeah,
what doesn't help is, of course, both of them are on the wrong side of 30, so
yeah,
it'll be hard to persist with them. Maybe they will try with Adil Rashid, but honestly, I won't be too surprised if both of them kind of get sidelined maybe a couple of months after the World
yeah,
Cup.
yeah, yeah. I think um Adil Rashid's played 3 World Cups, four maybe. Actually, he was in the squad for 2011.
11, but not in 2015. So
Oh no, he
technically
was in the
three.
SSO 3. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
three.
yeah. So yeah, they
He's
might
been really
just
good in this World Cup, by the way. I mean,
yeah,
13 wickets in
13
eight
wickets.
matches.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He's been good. Final thoughts on Netherlands and England's chances for Champions Trophy.
And now put themselves in a very, very good position. All they have to do is not lose by a terrible margin against Pakistan.
Pakistan,
But with
yeah.
Qudrat-e-Nizam, you never know.
Yeah,
All that said, it's
unless it gets
more
rained out.
worrisome. It's more worrisome for Bangladesh and Sri Lanka right now, with
Yeah,
England doing so well
yeah.
that they have to consider winning.
Both
I
of
think
their
either of
games.
them have to consider, and Sri Lanka win their next match, which is literally today
Yeah.
against New Zealand.
There
Bangladesh have to
and
fight out of their skin, get that
against
win against
Australia.
Australia.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's okay. You can always watch from the telly. It's fine. It's no big deal.
From the couch, yeah. Yeah.
Lots of streaming sites, so don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah. Netherlands looking tough with India in the last game, unfortunately, but it's been a really good World Cup for them. Even if they were to get a win versus India, which would be honestly the craziest finish you can hope for in your World Cup campaign. And I think if they did do well enough to get that win, they might just go home and take a nap for a few days because that will be, you're the only one to get a win against the champions. So, uh, not champions, please. I hope not. Anyway.
No, no. I think we mean South Africa. South
South
Africa
Africa,
becoming
South
champions.
Africa. Yes, yes.
South Africa, yes.
Anyways, thank you, Rakimo. As always, a pleasure. Had a few good chats, except the game on a lot of other topics today, which was nice. Now that we're rounding up the World Cup, a lot of these topics will start to come up because some teams will be looking to head into transition phases and whatnot. Um, Big game today in all contexts. Semi-final qualifications, Champions Trophy qualifications, everything on the line. So we'll be back with that tomorrow for England and Sri Lanka. Till then, keep watching and keep supporting Bhagiratta.